Welcome back. We've got 5 games remaining of the first phase of the Greek Super League, all coming to a head with a derby against local rivals Aris that could knock them into the relegation group. But first, let's get you up to speed. We open with the first of 3 games against Panathinaikos. Within 13 minutes the game was over thanks to goals from Laratsis, Konstantelios and an absolute worldie from Rafa Suarez. William Arau pulled one back early in the second half, before Singaras scored his first of the season. Panathinaikos become the first big team we've done the double over, but we'll play them at least 2 more times before the season is done. William Troost-Ekong returned from AFCON as a champion. Did I reward him with a little break? Did I He went straight to the bench 2 days later for our game against Panathinaikos. Konstantelios was in inspired form, breaking through to give us an early lead before then providing the cross that Avlonitis turned into his own goal. We did a good job of keeping the league's top scorer Kosta Alexic quiet, as we picked up our 10th clean sheet of the season. Rafa Suarez went down with a thigh strain that will keep him out for a month. Samata and Liagas learnt nothing from the recent pandemic, and gave each other their lurgies ahead of our home game against Atromitos. A boring 0-0 draw, which saw Konstantelios injured in the first minute and he now misses the next month. We've discovered our Conference League opponents, everyone's favourite Danish theme park for little people. A trip to Panathinaikos next. Ozdoev gets his first goal of the season from the penalty spot, meaning Thomas Kajura is now the only outfield player with more than 400 minutes yet to score for us this season. Živkovic gets our second, before Malice pulls one back for the home side. Kouliarakis scores in first half injury time to make it 3-1 and seal the win. A comfortable win against the second worst team in the league. In an unsurprising turn of events, our B team was relegated. Given we played the first half of the season with no players registered, it was inevitable. Živkovic has twisted his knee. Whilst he might be fit for the upcoming Aris game, he is certain to miss the Greek Cup semi-final against Panathinaikos. I had conveniently glossed over the first leg, a fortunate 0-0 draw. The second leg was more eventful. Just. Ruben Perez picked up 2 yellow cards in 9 minutes, then, against 10 men, Despodov curled in the winner. That sets us up for a final against holders, AEK. Which brings us up to date. Michaelidis will be missing with a minor foot injury, whilst Tyson's PAOK career has been brought to an abrupt end by a hip injury. He'll be joining Sao Paulo in the summer, so somewhat heartlessly, we've opted against spending money on a specialist. We've got a little gap at the top of the league, but the focus here is on Aris. Currently in 6th, they need a win to stay in the championship group for the second phase. Head-to-head record is used for tiebreakers, and Aris would lose this to both Volos and Panathinaikos. They are the informed team of the 3 though. For us, of course, this is about bragging rights. It is, once again, time for a story. It starts at 5 PM British summertime on 12th of June 2004 in a small pub called the Mermaid. Approximately an hour beforehand, a group of us had arrived and commandeered prime viewing spots on a bench in front of the projector screen of the opening game of the European Championships. It was a spot that became ours throughout the tournament, with us each taking turns to finish work a little early to reserve our place every day. Now, I have always been quite vocal and proud of my Greek heritage, and so I was the inevitable target for some light ribbing. In fairness, most people's knowledge of Greek football at the time extended only so far as knowing that it was the team who Beckham scored that last-minute free kick against 3 years prior. Portugal, on the other hand, were in the ascendancy. Jose Mourinho had just led Porto to an astonishing Champions League triumph and was set to take over at Chelsea, bringing with him a cohort of Portuguese players, including his first signing, Paulo Ferreira. Man United had signed Cristiano Ronaldo the year before, making him the most expensive teenager signed in English history. both players would leave their mark in the opening fixture. Just 7 minutes in, and the Portuguese right-back sloppily gave the ball away, passing it directly to Greece's most well-known player at the time, Yorgos Karagounis. With space to carry, Karagounis drove at the retreating Portugal back line, before unleashing a daisy cutter from 25 yards out that nestled inside Ricardo's near post. At half-time, Portugal coach Felipe Scolari had seen enough. Off came Simão and Rui Costa, on came Deco and Cristiano Ronaldo. 6 minutes later, and the noodle-haired teenager had conceded a penalty, clumsily bundling over Yorkas Aris. Angelos Bassinas duly converted, firing into the top right corner. There was time for Cristiano Ronaldo to make amends. A 93rd minute header from a corner halved the deficit and was the 18-year-old's first international goal. There was not time, however, for a comeback. This was never part of the script. The opening game was meant to see the tournament hosts chalk up a comfortable victory over the perceived whipping boys of the group. Greece had never won a game in a major tournament before this moment. In fact, they didn't win another game in the group. Angelos Harastheas scored his first goal of the tournament in a 1-1 draw with Spain in the next match, before losing 2-1 to bottom side Russia in the final fixture. PAOK legend Zizis Frizas scored a pivotal consolation goal in the 43rd minute. With Spain losing 1-0 to Portugal, both teams were tied on 4 points, with 0 goal difference. Greece went through on goals scored. The quarter-final against France is my fondest memory. More specifically, that goal. A raking ball out to the right-hand side set Theo Zacharakis in a foot race with Champions League and World Cup winner Bizente Lizarazu. The former Leicester man got there first, dinking the ball over the head of his more illustrious opponent before bringing it under control, looking up, and delivering a peach of an outswinging cross to the penalty spot. Enter Big Ange. With a spring so majestic that when Atlantic salmon embark on their annual mating migration, it is now referred to as leaping like a Harastheas. The Greek striker thumped his header back into the far top corner, leaving Fabian Barthez a motionless spectator. I will never grow tired of that goal. The semi against Czech was a tense affair. For the neutral, perhaps dull would have been a better word. But I am no neutral. As the first half of extra time came to an end, still 0-0, Harastheas chased a long ball into the channels. It was enough to put Oifalushi under pressure and win a corner. Up stepped Santos to whip the ball in at the near post, where Roma defender Traionas Della stooped to give Greece the lead. It wasn't just the lead though, this was the era of the silver goal. With virtually the last touch of the half, Delas had sent Greece through to the finals. 3 weeks and 1 day since the tournament opener. The same 2 teams, this time in Lisbon. Greece would be without Karagounis, suspended after picking up a yellow card in the 87th minute of the semi-final. Katsouranis took his place in the starting lineup, the only change from the team that won the opening fixture. Portugal had undergone quite a few changes. Miguel, Ricardo Carvalho, Nuno Valente, Deco and Cristiano Ronaldo had all ascended to the starting lineup in the wake of that opening day defeat, and helped Portugal beat Spain, England and Netherlands to get to the final. The stage was set for Portugal to avenge their opening day defeat and win the tournament as hosts, catapulting Cristiano Ronaldo into the stratosphere. Just one man stood in his way. In hindsight, 2004 was the year of Angelos Harastheas. The bouzouki enthusiast and current sporting director of today's opponents Aris was part of the Werder Bremen team who had secured an unexpected domestic double. He was, ultimately, just a bit part player, backing up Ailton and Klasnic, but still featured in 32 games over the course of the season. His goal against Spain earlier in the competition was vital to progressing from the groups. his goal against France replays in my mind on a continuous, serotonin-inducing loop. And it was his header in the 57th minute from a Bassinas corner that secured what is arguably the biggest upset in international football history. It was the goal that won the European Championships. The goal that sent me gallivanting down the streets of a dozy Hertfordshire town, swinging from every lamppost and screaming incoherent exultations deep into the dimly lit night. So to Angelos Charisteas, I say thank you for the memories. I will stop short, however, of apologising for absolutely destroying your current team 6-1. A phenomenal result and a great way to end the first phase. Volos lost, but Panathinaikos won and Aris drop out of the top 6. Few things more satisfying than screwing over your rivals. More importantly, it means the championship group is set, and it's looking increasingly like a battle between Olympiakos and ourselves for the title. Here's the table of results between these 6 teams so far this season. With 30 points available, we can't rule anyone out, except Panathinaikos, but if we replicate those results from earlier in the season, we'll be in a pretty decent spot. So there we are, 10 league games remain, or, if we want to speak in footballing cliches, 10 cup finals, plus an actual cup final. 11 cup finals. We're still in the Conference League, so potentially 12 cup finals. See you then.